this is Chris, and this is going to be a Game of Thrones Season 6 Trailer 2 breakdown. Yes, they released another one, and they need to stop before they release the whole damn season. But anyway, there will be potential spoilers, at least speculations, but if you could, I'd like you to stick around for the end of this video for a little announcement, so be sure to stick around for that. In the meantime, let's jump right in and find out what we know. And why do you ask? Because that's what I do. I drink, and I know things. Alright, let's jump right in. First, we open with a scene at Castle Black, and these are the bad crows, and they're trying to get into Jon's room. They have crossbows. You can tell these are the bad crows by this little shit Ollie, and this corresponds with the footage we see on the Conan O'Brien show, where they released the footage of Davos in the room. They kind of confirmed what I said in the original trailer breakdown, where they are protecting Jon's body, or could they be protecting ghosts? Although I think he could probably take care of himself. There's only so much he could do with so many men with so many swords, because I think even Davos and them want to burn Jon's body and give him a proper funeral, or do they already know something's up with Jon and a possible comeback? And then as they show a scene of Jon's body laying there, we hear Tormund saying, "I thought this was the man to lead us through the long night. I was wrong." And then it flashes over to Tormund, likely getting ready for the battle in the north, or getting ready to bust through Castle Black with 1-1 in the game to get back at Jon Snow's murderers. And then we see a gloomy shot of the pyramids here, and we hear somebody saying, "Do you like to play games, little man?" This is likely the Masters talking to Tyrion. We see Tyrion walking down the steps toward the Masters, and this could actually correspond with his great game speech that we heard in the last trailer, although I do still think at this point he's probably telling this to Dany once she gets back from Vastoth Rak with her new Khalasar and Drogon. And then we see Jaime pulling a dagger on the High Sparrow, and the High Sparrow says, "You would spill blood in this place?" And Jaime, true to form, says, "I don't think the gods would mind. They've spilled more blood than all of us combined." So Jaime's a little pissed off, and rightfully so. Then we have a quick shot of Melisandre at Castle Black. I think she's probably going to lose a lot of faith in the first episode of this show. Once she figures out what's going on with Jon, or sees what happens to Jon, I should say, it's going to reignite her faith and make her realize, you know what, I was right the whole time, I just had the wrong man. We have the scene in the previous teaser where Dany's touching a hot brazier. This has to be her because I don't think anybody else could touch this hot-ass brazier. And of course, like I pointed out in the previous trailer and teaser breakdown, this is her ring. Then we see an even better shot of Drogon and his huge-ass shadow going over the Khalasar right before he makes the Dothraki barbecue. Man, I can't wait to see that shit. It's going to be like Dany's going to be in there, basically a slave, going to be a crone the rest of her life, and they're like, "You're queen of nothing, the millionth of your name," and then this big-ass dragon comes in there and burns the shit out of somebody. And then we see a shot of Bran having a vision or warging into something, and this is really interesting, actually. If you look right here, it looks like Bran's hand is either wrapped in tree limbs, or the roots are already growing around him perhaps, or perhaps he's just holding on as he has this vision, or he's warging something as he's seeing the future or the past, or something pretty damn frightening. It kind of almost looks like a nightmare. So is he trapped in this tree, or going to be trapped in this tree, or is he going to probably have to leave the cave? And then we start to hear Jaqen ask Arya, "Who are you?" And she replies, "No one," as the wave smacks her, as we saw in the previous trailer. And then we see Dany and Vastoth Rak, possibly the main hut here, as you can tell by the carvings on the wood. And it looks like the other crones are stripping her down, and she's supposed to be a crone for the rest of her life, where all the former Khaleesi's go, sit there beside a lake and advise cows, so basically a slave. Of course, this is all before they see that big-ass shadow in the sky. We hear Jaqen continue on his rant to Arya about being no one. He says, "A girl gets a second chance, there will not be a third." And as he's saying this, he's actually removing a face from someone's body. So this is the first time we've actually seen them take off a face. This tells you what's involved. It does take a physical face, but we don't know the magic element of it yet. And then of course we see blind Arya, and she was blind Beth in the books. Now the question here is, will they explore her warging ability this season? I certainly hope so. In the book, she does become the Cat of the Canals, a character where she's gathering information. It's part of her training, but she's also able to warg a cat to see through a cat's eyes as opposed to her own while she's blind. So hopefully they'll bring out her warging ability in the show, because they completely ignored Jon's warging in the show, so I'd really love to see another powerful Stark warg here. And then we see Sansa somewhere up in the north, likely at a northern house. We do see this direwolf brooch. She's all cleaned up. She's starting to talk like Dar Sansa. She starts to say, "This is all I think about, everything that was taken from me," as we see Ramsay cleaning one of his blades. And as she's finishing up this line, we see a scene with Walder Frey, that the twins, this is not the Red Wedding. At first I thought it was a Red Wedding flashback. As you can see here, this is not the Red Wedding. This is one of his sons. This is not Edmure Tully. And also the crowd's completely different. You can see these soldiers in the background. They look to be Lannister men. And Walder Frey is raising a toast to something here, celebrating whatever, but hopefully it's going to be a toast to his own death, because Sansa's going to the dark side. And then we see an expanded shot of Littlefinger here, likely in the Godswood at Winterfell due to the surroundings, and he looks a little bit worried. We see somebody approaching him. We really don't know who that is yet. I would say this is Sansa, but this would have to be later in the season once they take Winterfell back and she gets back with the Northern Army and the Boltons are defeated. So this could be Sansa, but I think if it is Sansa, after being put through what she's been put through, she would be pissed and will probably end up killing Littlefinger at some point, but this would have to be probably near the end of the season, I would speculate, just based off the fact that I don't think they're going to immediately take Winterfell back and have this big battle right up front in the beginning and win Winterfell so easily. So I think that's going to last a while through the season as far as the big battle in the north. This could be Roose, this could be Ramsay, or anybody trying to confront Littlefinger. Maybe they figured out part of his plans. Then we see a shot of poor old Captain Friendzone with his grayscale apparently has spread quite a bit, and he says, "I know what happens," referring to, I know I'm going to die, but I'm going to serve my queen until I do. Now, of course, we know by Shireen, who got cured as a kid, it can be cured, although I'm certainly not predicting that for Jorah. I don't expect him to survive this in the long run. I think he will serve out his time serving Daenerys. He's out with Dario, trying to find her right now, so I think he'll be around for a little while, so I don't think this is going to take him immediately, but we do know that it is curable. And then we see Sir Loras Tyrell. He's laying in the dungeon here since he was arrested by the High Sparrow and the Faith Militant, and we see Marjorie walk into his cell and give him a hug. So this is evidence that the Tyrells, led by Jaime, are going to basically threaten the Faith and say, if you don't let them go, we're coming up in there with all we got. And then we see Davos start to talk, and he says, there is no hiding, we have to fight. And in this shot, he has a Stark bannerman behind him, so this is part of the Northern Army. We can clearly see the Stark direwolf here on the banner. And then we go over to a shot of Winterfell, where the battle is likely about to take place, and we see what seems to be 6 to 7 flayed men here on crosses burning. And this is what the Boltons do to terrorize their enemies, as if people in this world don't see any blood and gore. But that kind of brings into question, who these people are. We had initially thought there was only 2 people. We had been told by the producers 2 recognizable characters will be flayed and burned. A lot of people speculate Roose and Fat Walda. The only thing I questioned about that was if Ramsay kills Roose and Fat Walda, which I certainly believe he has every intention of doing if it comes to that, because we hear him say, Winterfell is mine, come and see. I just don't think the Bolton men would follow Ramsay if he openly killed his father. That's kind of a big no-no. And then we see Varys and Tyrion in the pyramid here, and here they are talking to the new Red Priestess Kinvara, and this is going to be a conversation that goes something like this. Hey, I need you to go out and preach and say Dany's all this and all that, and she's the savior and Azor Ahai, or whatever you want to call her, because we need her loved by the people. And she's going to say, yeah, I'll do that, not because you need me to do it, but because I actually believe it. Because we did see the other Red Priestess in Season 5 preaching about the Dragon Queen who is the savior. And then we see a shot of Pike here in the dark, and then we see Balon again on the bridge from the previous trailer, and he's going to kill Balon here himself, it looks like. And then we hear Cersei start to run her trap again, as we see Jaime riding through a Lannister camp that seems to be a Lannister camp, probably outside Riverrun. We see the red tents, we see the Lannister sigils on everything, and Cersei's saying here, stand at the head of our army where you belong. Now, she could be talking to Jaime, but Jaime is a King's Guard member, so she also could be talking to her uncle Kevin Lannister. And then as Cersei finishes her diatribe, we see more of the Tower of Joy flashback, and here we see one of the old Targaryen Kingsguard killing one of Ned's men. And at this point, I still don't know if they're actually going to name these people in the show as far as the Kingsguard. You have Whent, Hightower, and Sir Arthur Dayne, obviously, but I would hope they would at least in some way, shape, or form, at least through dialogue, kind of let us know who's who, and maybe we'll actually see the Sword Dome. And then we see Cersei continue to run her pie hole as she lifts Thomas' chin up, saying, show them what Lannisters are, show them what we do to our enemies. And as she finishes this lineup, we see the High Sparrow praying as somebody walks in behind him. This is likely Jaime, perhaps, or maybe Kevin Lannister going down to meet the High Sparrow and say, look, here's what's coming if you don't let these people go. And then we see somebody getting stabbed here, at least their shadows. This looks to be somebody from the Kingsguard, or at least somebody in armor getting stabbed by somebody that looks to be in the Faith Militant. Looks to be just like a robe there, and somebody shoves a sword through somebody's back. And then we see who I believe to be Jaime standing beside Franken Mountain, probably going to see Cersei, and he turns and looks at him, and Jaime flinches and shits his pants. Then we have a quick shot of Yara, probably waiting for Euron as he arrives on the Iron Islands. And then we have a shot of Jaime in his Kingsguard garb, leading the Tyrell army again. As you can see here clearly, this is the Tyrell army, as I mentioned in the last teaser breakdown. And here we have the big badass Mace Tyrell with feathers in his cap. Why did they make him such a dweeb on the show? And this is where Jaime will ride up and meet the High Sparrow on his horse, as we saw in the previous teaser. And this is where they're going to threaten to burn this shit to the ground if they don't release Marjorie and Loras. And then we see a shot of 4 White Walkers here, including the Night's King, and all 4 are on their World of Warcraft undead horses. And by the way, it's no accident they're showing 4 here, like the 4 horsemen of the apocalypse. But if you take a look here at the Night's King, it looks to be a horn on his back. That's the first thing I thought, and I saw a lot of people pointing that out on social media. But if you look closer, this is actually made out of ice. We know that Sam has the horn they found in the Fist of the First Men. He's on his way to Old Town with the horn, so we don't know if that's the Horn of Winter or not. It looks to be just like an ice-made broadsword. But if this was in fact the Horn of Winter, we know what that's going to do. It's only one thing it can do. It's supposed to wake giants from the earth, which I think is a metaphor for earthquakes, to bring the wall down. And then we see Davos again here, and he says, make no mistake, the dead are coming. And if you look closer here, he is at House Mormont. This is the House Sigil of House Mormont on Bear Island. He is back to try again to gain their support, because if you remember in Season 5, when Stannis was still at the wall before he marched on Winterfell and met his ultimate demise, Brienne, they wrote House Mormont and they replied to them saying, "We follow no king in the north unless his name is Stark." Well, at this point, they probably do have a Stark again, namely Jon or Sansa. And somebody needs to go find Rickon. And this also shows that this is where Sansa is at some point, because in a previous teaser, we saw Sansa standing here with this same chandelier. So at some point, she went to Bear Island. Perhaps she is reunited with Rickon here. And then we see another shot of our mysterious hooded figure with the fire flail, hopefully going to be Benjen Stark. I want this to be Cold Hands or Benjen, either one will be fine with me. But Cold Hands is, at least in the books, afraid of fire because he is a white. But this figure here is swinging a fire flail and looks to be saving Mira Reed, like I mentioned in the earlier trailer breakdown, because you saw her behind this figure in the last teaser where she is knelt down behind a log or some supplies. At this point, if I had to choose, it would probably be Benjen's return, because I just don't know if they'll do Cold Hands for the show. And then we see the shot of the Night's King and the fire here again. And then of course we see the shot where all of them are behind the fire walking towards it. I'm not sure exactly where this is, although in the last video I did speculate this may be Bloodraven's cave. If you look in the background here, it looks like these are regular trees with snow on them. Obviously that would indicate they're outside. So this may be attacking Bloodraven's cave, or maybe at this point they're already beyond that and heading south towards the wall. Or possibly a vision where they're already past the wall, or already actually past the wall. And then we see again the shot of the ships at sea, and this is likely either Euron Greyjoy coming into Pike, or it could be Sam and Gilly on the way to Old Town, although I don't know if they'd be with a fleet of ships here, because it does immediately flash over to Sam and Gilly where Sam is about to hurl on this ship because he's getting a little seasick. That's one hell of a storm. And then of course we have the hot makeout scene with Yara and this other lady we didn't know who it was, but now we know from this scene what she is. If you look here at this little tattoo, it's a teardrop tattoo on her cheek, and this indicates she is a slave because she has the teardrop, and that is a sign of slavery in Volantis. They put different markings on different slaves' faces for builders, for whores, etc. We saw this earlier in season 5 when Tyrion and Varys arrived in Volantis. So this either indicates a whore from Volantis is over in Westeros, or that in fact later in the season, perhaps Yara ends up in the east in Volantis heading towards Dany, perhaps taking a big character from the book storyline Victarion, where he heads over to Dany to try to win her over for himself. And then we have a shot of Bloodraven here, and obviously a vision of the Tower of Joy. You can kind of see what looks like the Tower of Joy behind him, as well as some dead bodies on the ground. So he's likely watching, along with Bran, this fight between Ned, his companions, and the Kingsguard. We see another shot of Tormund fighting again. Looks like to be the Battle of the North. We see a mounted guy behind him, so this is likely somebody holding a Stark banner. Then we see the horses again. They love to keep showing us these damn horse shots without showing us who's on them. The formation indicates that somebody in the front is very important, so this could be Jon Stark. Then a quick shot of Sansa, and then we see Arya fighting the Waif, and she's learned some badass kung fu skills.
I know kung fu.
We have more Bolton archers from the Battle of the North and our favorite bastard Ramsay. Gotta get a little bit of twin cest up in here, and then we have some harpies killing some people. Then we see Sansa and Theon here, and I think this is where they part ways. I think Theon will end up surviving and going back to the Iron Islands to deal with his Greyjoy situation, and this is probably when Sansa heads up towards Bear Island or the Last Hearth or wherever she ends up going. And then we see Brienne and Pod here, and they are at Riverrun. You can see here this is a Tully sigil in the background. This is likely the Lannister siege of Riverrun, which takes place in the books, just happened a little late in the show. We have her and Jaime meeting back up at some point, and then we have Sansa coming into the storyline as well. So it's going to get real damn interesting to see where her loyalties lie. And then we have the big badass Frankenmountain. He is going to crush the guy's head here, one of the sparrows, and this is likely right in front of Cersei while she's sitting there laughing and drinking wine. A quick shot of the underbelly of Drogon flying this time, and then we go over to our favorite Aunt Tyrion back in the pyramids talking to Missandei and Grey Worm, and he says, "Dragons do not do well in captivity." Missandei says, "How do you know this?" And he says,
"That's what I do. I drink and I know things."
So this indicates, like we know from the books, and like I said in a video a long time ago in a galaxy far, far away, that this is exactly why Dany needs Tyrion, because he is familiar with dragon lore. He read about him as a child, he dreamt about him as a child. This feeds the theory that he is in fact a Targaryen, and this actually confirms what Val and I said from Because Geek in our Tyrion predictions video, that he is the one suggesting, and he will be the one going to release the dragons. And then we see a different angle here for the battle in the north, and this is the Bolton shields against the northern houses. You can confirm here that there are in fact at this point other northern houses fighting for the Stark side. We see a Stark banner here, we see a Hornwood banner here, and we also see a Mormont banner here from Bear Island. So at this point, Davos and those guys have gotten their support, and they are now in the battle for Winterfell against the Boltons directly, along with the Wildlings, Tormund, Giant Spain, etc. But what's interesting here is in the background, you see 3 people on horses. Now, a lot of people have speculated this is the Night's King, and when I first saw it, I was like, yeah, damn, that's gonna be badass, because nobody should be sitting back there watching this battle take place, because in this world, the commanders are right down there in the shit with everybody else. But if you take a look a little closer, okay, a little closer, and just a little more, you can see here this looks to be a white horse, and compared to the other shot with the 4 horsemen, they are all on undead dark horses here. And I think if this was the Night's King and White Walkers, there was no snow on the ground here, or very little, and I think this would be a little too early for them to be past the wall and all the way down to Winterfell. Although this is Game of Thrones, anything can happen. Another shot of Tormund in the gang. And then we have Pod here, and this is where he's in River Run, it looks to be. And this looks like to be the Lannister encampment. Again, you see the red tents in the background. And somebody comes up and gets him in a rear naked choke. But this person, first of all, has 2 hands and dark hair. So this could be Bronn, perhaps. Although I'm not sure why Bronn would come get Podrick in a headlock, unless he's just messing with him and they're just editing it to make it look like an enemy. We have the same shot we saw in the previous teaser of 1-1 breaking into Castle Black. And then we see a shot here of Mira looking up. Something is scaring her here. And if you look closely here, there's somebody else laying here. Perhaps she is protecting Bran here as he is worrying or having a vision. And something is attacking the cave at the same time. This does indicate there will be some type of attack by Whites or White Walkers or both on Bloodraven's cave. So hopefully the children of the forest have the Roman candles ready. And in our second to last shot, we see a bloody hand rubbing against the wall here. This is likely King's Landing here, and all the bloodshed starting to take place just based off the coloring of the walls. I don't think this is Marine. And finally, we have the shot here of Tyrion based off the conversation he just had with Missandei and Grey Worm about the dragons being released. This does confirm what I said in my teaser and trailer breakdowns that he will be the one to release the dragons. He's stepping in here, scared shitless with a torch, and he does see Rhaegal and Viserion approach him. And then, of course, it cuts, and we see Rhaegal or Viserion, one of the two, breathe a big ball of fire towards the camera. This insinuates that Tyrion is going to be burned here, but like Val and I said in our Tyrion prediction video, Tyrion's not going to die here. He's going to probably end up bonding with one of these dragons. They're probably going to blow some fire, scare the shit out of him, but then they're going to just leave him alone, maybe have a little loving moment with him so they can finally get out of the catacombs, get out, cause some madness and mayhem, join their brother in all the fire and blood. So guys, that's all I have for the trailer breakdown. Let me know what you think in the comments below. I am so hyped about Season 6. This is going to be badass. I think this is going to blow Season 5 away. There looks to be a lot of shit going on, and we're at that point in the story where there's just a lot of things coming together and a lot of unanswered questions coming, which will probably create more questions. Also, if you're still here, thanks for hanging around. I wanted to quickly say thank you to all you guys. I just hit 10,000 subscribers and I can't fucking believe it. This is freaking insane to me. I came into this thing, starting YouTube, thinking, you know, I'll join this community and see what happens. And this thing has taken off more than I ever thought it would. So thank you guys so much. I really appreciate it. And really quickly, I want to say a special thank you to Val from Because Geek. She has helped me out so much, and I hope in some way I've helped her out in return. We've learned a lot together as we started our channel Because Views together, and even before that, she really helped me step up my game. And to all you other Game of Thrones, Ice and Fire nerds out there in YouTube land as well, I watch all your channels and see what you do and enjoy a lot of your stuff as well. I'm a big fan of you guys. So thank you, even though you might not know, you're helping me out as well. So thank you for that, guys. And also really quickly, I had a lot of you guys asking about a Patreon account. This actually started months and months and months ago, and I actually did open one, but I never actually announced it. But at this point, since I've hit this milestone, I kind of wanted to wait to hit a milestone like this, 10K subs. I want to officially announce I do have a Patreon account. It is patreon.com/smokescreenvids. This is just something that will allow me to get to full-time faster. That is my goal at this point, is to go full-time with YouTube, and this would allow me to get there faster and devote the majority or all of my time to YouTube versus working for the man 40 hours a week. I'll put a link into the description below, and the bottom line is that will be more videos more often. Don't feel pressured in any way, shape, or form, because it doesn't matter. You guys are awesome, and I'm going to keep making videos regardless, and it will always be free. So anyway, thanks so much, you guys. I really appreciate it. Let me know in the comments below what you think about the trailer and Season 6 coming up. Are you fucking hyped yet? So thanks again. Be sure to subscribe to get everything. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you next time.